Hey, welcome to Web Hosting Check. So in this video, what I'm going to do is probably going to be a long video, but I want to talk to you guys about web hosting. I'm going to go over some web hosting companies, and then I'm actually going to pick one of these and I'm going to go ahead and set up a web hosting account, take you inside. We're going to review something which they call the cPanel, which is kind of like your management place within the hosting account. And then we're going to set up WordPress on a domain name so we can start with a new website. So first of all, if you're new to online businesses, if you're new to building websites, you have to have web hosting to get everything up and running. So what is web hosting? Web hosting is where your website lives. And so you can think of it as, you can think of web hosting as your home, and you can think of your address as your domain name. So in order to find your home, or in order to find your hosting where your website is, it has to know the address. And so that's what the website address is. So if you go to www.google.com, that's your address, is telling you where it's at. And then the website itself is hosted within a hosting company. And so that's the difference between web hosting and a domain name. Okay, so let's look at a few of the popular companies. Now, over the past 20 years, I've built hundreds of websites, mostly on WordPress. And so I've got the chance to use a lot of different web hosting companies. I've got to experiment with a lot of them. A lot of them I had not for just my websites, but for my clients' websites. And so there's a big difference between web hosting companies and the different services they provide, the different type of quality they offer, and the different kinds of support they offer, which is really important when you have a web hosting account, especially if you're trying to make a website for your business or for something that you're going to be needing up and running all the time. Because if they don't have either live support, chat support, or where you can call, then if your website goes down, you may have to submit a support ticket to your web hosting company, and then it may be up to 24 or 48 hours before they even get back to you. Now, web hosting companies like that are normally very cheap, some of them even free, but you have to understand the risks you take when you use a free web host. It's just not very reliable. They're not very stable. Your website may be offline, it may be online. And of course, there's no support for it. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at here is called Namecheap. You may have heard of this one, Namecheap. You can find it at namecheap.com. But this is their website, and the first thing you want to notice up here at the top is, first, you can buy domains from them. So let's talk about this for a second. Domains and hosting, you can actually have them through different companies. But you can have them to work together by changing some information in your back end of the hosting company or the domain company that you bought your domain from. If you work with a hosting company where you can buy your domain through the same company as your hosting, they link them together, and so you don't have to worry about the back end stuff of connecting your domain to your hosting through different companies. Instead, they're most likely just going to be automatically linked together, and it's going to usually work faster together. And so it's good lots of times if you get a hosting account and you want to buy a domain, if you get both the domain and your hosting through the same company. So if we scroll over domains, you're going to see here you can search for domains, and there's all different kinds of domain extensions. So what are domain extensions? Well, let's say we're going to register a domain name. Maybe you're going to build a new, maybe you're looking to start up your own web designing company. So we can call it web designer, and we'll just give it an odd number to see what's available. You can click search, and you're going to see, obviously, this address itself, it is available, $8.88 a year, which is pretty cheap. And that's something else you got to watch for. Some companies like GoDaddy, they may give you your first year of your domain for free, but after that, they may charge you $20 a year to keep it, which in my opinion is just ridiculous. It's just way too pricey. So if you go to a place like Namecheap or one of these other companies I'm going to show you, the domains are a lot cheaper. And so we have an extension of .com, an extension of .net, .ai, which seems to be getting really popular, stands for artificial intelligence. You got .org, .to. I've actually never heard of .to before. And then you can see all these other ones as I scroll down through here. And then you have at the bottom, explore 400 plus additional extensions. So if we click this, you're going to see here, depending on your niche or your category of what your website's in, there are different extensions you can buy, and they range greatly in price. So if you look over here, you can see you can buy a .xyz domain for $1 a year. You can buy a .io for almost $33 a year, and some of them even more expensive, like a .so, which I'm not sure what that is, for almost $65 a year. And then you can buy a .new for close to $500 a year. So when you buy your domain name with your hosting account, just be careful that you're not going out here and accidentally adding one of these to your cart that's going to cost you more than you can afford. And so let's say we are in the business of services. So we can click services, and then we can see all of the extensions for services. And we could go down, and let's say if we're doing a web hosting company, you could do one like this, your site.host, which would make sense. Or you could do your site.services or .solutions. And so there's different ones you can go through here. And so if you see any that might fit, like let's see if we can find another one. Maybe professional, consulting. If you do that, design. So you could do like a web, maybe something like web 3453, then .design, or expert, or pro. And these ones here, like this one, $3.98. So some of these are really cheap, but you also have to remember that sometimes they renew at a different price, so keep an eye on that too. Okay, so that's for domains, and you have to have a domain if you want to set up a hosting account. Otherwise, when you set up your hosting account, there's nothing that's going to be on it. It's just going to be like an empty house, nothing in it. So back up to domains, you can see here, TLDs, these are the extensions that we were just talking about, like .com, .net, .ai. You can buy domains in bulk. Personal domain setup. There's a marketplace where you can buy domains that have been expired. You can look up information on domains through the Whois lookup. And this is pretty interesting because lots of times people don't hide their Whois information. And basically what that means is when they buy a domain name, the information is attached to it from the person who bought it. And anybody can look that up and see it. They can see your name, they can see your address, and they can even contact you through your email address. Now, most hosting companies, they will provide you, when you purchase a domain name, what they call privacy. And privacy, what that does is it blocks people from being able to see that information, so it's not shared with anyone else. Let's go over to hosting now. So you can see here there's lots of different types of hosting. So where do you get started at with hosting? Well, if you're just doing a very small website, maybe something for your hobby, something on the side, something that if it goes down for an hour, maybe a week, maybe every 2 weeks or something, it's not going to bother you. It's not going to affect you at all. Then you want to go with the shared hosting option, because what shared hosting is you sharing a server with other people. So you and other people are on the server, and let's just say there's 10 people on it. All 10 of you have different websites on this server. So think of it like this, 10 people living in a house. Now obviously the more people you get in a house, the more crowded it becomes. And that's the same way it is with a shared server. And so as more people's there, as they're building more websites and adding more stuff, it becomes more crowded. And there's just a lot more room for things to happen that can cause your website to go offline. And so that's why with shared hosting, just be a little cautious about it. You're probably not going to experience it all the time, but once in a while, maybe once a week or so, you may get a notification your website's offline, and then maybe 10 minutes later it comes back up online. But then if you have somebody on your shared hosting account, now obviously if you guys are on the same server, you can't see each other. You can't see each other's names, domains, or nothing like that. You all have separate accounts. But because you're sharing it, somebody else who's sharing that same server may be creating websites in an abusive way. Maybe they're mass creating websites or uploading tons of videos and files and storage to the server for their website. And the problem is with this is that while they're doing that, it can affect everybody else who's also using that server. It can cause it to slow down. And so maybe when you try to go to your website, it takes a while for it to load. Or maybe you're trying to log in to edit your website, but you can't do it because it's just not loading. And so those are kind of the problems that you experience if you get shared hosting. Now, it's not, like I said earlier, it's not always like that. And the better hosting companies that you go with, the less you're going to experience that. Namecheap, if you get a shared hosting account, you might experience that once in a while. It's not too bad, especially if it's just for a website you want to throw up. No big deal. Now, another option is for WordPress hosting. So if you want to build a WordPress website, you can do it on a shared hosting account. But you can also do it on something that they set up particularly for WordPress, which allows it to run faster and smoother. And so it is more expensive if you do WordPress hosting, but you're getting a lot better quality. They also have an option for reseller hosting. So let's say you are starting up a web designing business and you have a lot of clients and they need web hosting. Well, you can either tell them, well, go to Namecheap.com or go to GoDaddy or wherever and get web hosting, or you can resell your own web hosting through Namecheap. And so that's what you can do here is they allow you to set it up so where you can resell it for whatever price you want and you make the difference. Next is VPS hosting. So this stands for Virtual Private Server. And when you get a virtual private server, it is more expensive, but it's going to run a lot better for you, a lot smoother. And then another step up from that is dedicated servers, which means you get a server all to yourself. Now, obviously, if you're not sharing a server with other people, then you're going to have to pay the difference that everybody would be throwing in a little bit for. But dedicated servers are more expensive, but they are much more reliable, much more stable, and they're for people who have a big business, a big website, a growing business. And then this is just hosting. If you want to migrate from another hosting account to Namecheap, they show you how to do that here. Okay, let's continue on. Now, under WordPress, this is the same thing that we saw under hosting. You have option for manage WordPress hosting, and you have the option to migrate to WordPress if you don't already use it. Next is email. So email is a little bit different. Email, let me go ahead and just click on this. So you can set up your own brand with your own email address. And what this does is it allows you to create emails based around your domain name. So if your domain name is webdesigner345.com, you can have emails such as bob@webdesigner345.com, or maybe your name's Taylor, Leslie, Henry, I don't know, whatever, at that email address.com. And so that makes it a lot more professional. So when you share your email address with somebody else, it's just like, oh, okay, so they have their own website and this is their email address attached to their website. It looks a lot more legit. So you can see down here, it starts off at about 99 cents a month. You can add more. You can do 3 free mailboxes, 30 gigs of emails, which is a lot of emails. You can go with this one here. Now you got to watch too that lots of times with these you have to pay yearly to get the discount. Next is apps. We're not going to talk about this. This really doesn't have much to do with what this video is about. You have security. So this is something I want to talk about briefly, SSL certificates. And this is something you really want to look for when you get your web hosting. A lot of websites have SSL certificates included. So what is an SSL certificate? Well, if we go up here to the left side, you're going to see that I'm on Namecheap.com and there is a lock beside of the name. If I click this lock, it's going to tell me that the connection is secure. If you don't have an SSL certificate, you're going to see this and it's going to show up as like a red X, which means it is not secure. You may even get a message from like Google Chrome or some of the other browsers that it may not even be safe to go to the website, which obviously can prevent a lot of people from visiting your website, which can definitely hurt your business. And so you want to make sure when you set up your hosting account that your domain has an SSL certificate with it. And like I said, most hosting companies today will give you a free SSL certificate. In the past, a few years ago, you had to buy them $30, $40, $50 a year. It was ridiculous. But now, most of the time, you can get them included. So if we click on this, you're going to see here that there's different types of SSL certificates you can get. And so I'm not going to go into details about these, but if you click on 1 year, you can see that the price is a little more expensive. Obviously, the longer out you go, the bigger discount you get. And so the different kinds of SSL certificates and their prices will determine several things. And you can go through here and you can click on learn more to learn more about each one and what they are. But for most websites, if you're not using a web hosting company where you get your certificates for free, you can just purchase one like this for just $10 and it's going to work fine. Now, if you remember when we was back at the domain names, I told you how your information could be seen by other people if you buy a domain name. And so you can see here that through Namecheap, you have free WHOIS protection and private domain registration, free lifetime protection for your domain. So you don't have to worry about your information being seen out there if you buy a domain name, which is really good. And in the past, several years ago, this also was not free. You had to pay extra for this. But now with most hosting companies, you're going to get it free. All right, so this is Namecheap. Now, obviously, I'm not going to go through all these features with every one of the web hosts I'm going to show you, but we are going to talk a little bit about each one of them. So if you want to check out Namecheap, there it is, Namecheap.com. If you go to hosting, and if you're just getting started on your first site, just click on hosting, go to shared hosting. And what you want to do is come down here to the shared hosting plans and choose whether you want monthly, yearly, or 2 years. And the longer you go, the bigger discount you get. And not only that, but if you click yearly or 2 years, you'll also see that with this plan and this plan, you also get a free .com domain name, which is going to save you close to $10 on your first year. You also want to make sure that you choose the correct data center that is closest to you, because that will help to make sure that the speed of your website is as fast as what it should be. And then down here, as you go over the packages, just make sure you look over them, because you're going to notice down here that for your first year, you're going to get this discounted at only $18.44, which is super cheap to start up a business online, less than 20 bucks. And then it renews at $33.88 a year, which still is really cheap to keep your business going every year. You do get a domain name. You can build up to 3 websites on this server, and includes 20 gigabytes of storage space. Now, if you upgrade to this one, you're going to see the same thing, how much you're going to pay, what it renews at, but then you're also going to see this one has some extra features to it. And then you upgrade to this one, you can see the same thing, but both of these also have unlimited websites. So what you could do is if you knew you was going to build more than say 3 websites, which this offers, maybe you're going to build 10 or 20 websites and you have clients, you can maybe get this package so you can add unlimited domains to it. Obviously, every domain is going to cost you a little bit, but after you do, you can remain to use this hosting account. And then down here, it's going to tell you what all is included with it. You can see here they do include a free automatic SSL installation. And they do have the free SSL certificates also. And this is why they're free with most hosting companies now, is because they're mandatory. And so they just give them out for free now. And they do have 24/7 live support, which is great. They have cPanel, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. I'm going to take you through and show it to you. Okay, so this is Namecheap. The next one I want to talk about is GoDaddy. Now, I've used GoDaddy a few times in the past, and honestly, I never have a good experience with them. In fact, I'm going through some stuff with them right now with one of my clients. It's just, it's difficult to use their platform. And I know they're a major company. You hear about them, you see advertisements for them. But in my personal opinion, I think they are a big ripoff. They charge way too much money for domains and additional things that they shouldn't be charging for. And their hosting is very slow. All the hosting that I've ever used from them, I did not like. So as of today, I no longer have any accounts with GoDaddy myself, no hosting with GoDaddy, no domains with GoDaddy or anything. I've moved all that away, but I do have a few clients that is still using GoDaddy, and I still have to monitor their stuff and watch theirs. So unfortunately, it's up to you whether you want to use their service or not, but you can see here that they also have domain names where you can search for domains. And so if you want to come in here, you can type in your web designer 345 or whatever it is. And you can see here that for the first year, it's $1 a month, which is a great deal. But the problem with that, and let me click this, is you can see here it renews at $19 a year, which is almost twice the cost of most other places. And I don't understand why they charge that much for, but I refuse to pay them that much for it, which is why I no longer have hosting companies with them. And so just keep that in mind if you get an account with GoDaddy, that after that first year, your bill is going to double, if not triple or more. And they also have, let's see, website and stores, web hosting. And down here you can see it's $5.99 a month with a 3-year term. And then when you renew, it's $8.99 a month. And down here they're going to show you all the features and options you get. This one here, you only get one website with this one. One website, and it's more than 3 times the cost of what Namecheap is. It's just, I just don't like GoDaddy. All right, next, Bluehost. So Bluehost is really popular. If you search for web hosting on YouTube or anywhere, you're going to find tons of ads for it, tons of videos for it. And that's for 2 reasons. Number one, because it's a decent service and they're very affordable. So you could call this a few steps up above from Namecheap. So their quality's better, but the prices are just a little bit more. But they also offer an affiliate program. And so what an affiliate program is, if we click on affiliates, you're going to see here, refer your readers to Bluehost with your affiliate link and earn $65 for each qualified hosting purchase. So for every person that somebody or you refer to Bluehost and they sign up, you get $65 for it. That's a lot of money. And so this is why you see so many people promoting Bluehost, is they're trying to get people to go through their affiliate link so they can earn $65 if you sign up for it. And so between those 2 reasons, that's why Bluehost is popular. And so if we were to come up here to WordPress, you can see they have a website builder. Most hosting companies, they do have website builders. They have WordPress hosting, managed WordPress, and WooCommerce, which I'm not sure why they have that. You can set up WooCommerce with any WordPress website. So if we go over hosting, you're going to see they have a few options here too. They have shared, dedicated, and VPS. Once again, it works the same way with shared hosting. You and a lot of other people is going to be on the same server. Dedicated hosting is just going to be you. And just to give you an idea of the price difference, let's go to shared hosting. And you can see down here that is $295 a month with a 36-month or 3-year term. And then it renews at $8.99 a month. It's for one website. You can upgrade to the Plus for $5.45 a month or $11.99 a month at regular price and have unlimited websites. But you can see that you get a free SSL certificate, you get a free domain name, let's see, 24/7 customer support. Now, if you go to 12 months, you're going to see the regular price. Now, if we go to dedicated hosting. Oh, well, that's great. So their website's not working. That will make people even want to buy from them more. There it goes. Okay, maybe it was just a glitch. Okay, so dedicated, hosting your website on one of our dedicated servers gives you more power to grow your business. So once, as I mentioned before, a dedicated server, just you, so you have a lot, you're using all the resources yourself instead of splitting it up between other people, so it's a lot more powerful. But with that said, you can see the price difference too. And so you can get a discount the first month, and then, or actually for a 36-month term, a 3-year term, you can get it for $80 a month. Then after you renew, it's going to be the $119, $159, or $209 a month. Obviously, you don't want to do this unless you have a really growing, thriving business where you can afford to put that much money out there every month into something. But then again, you don't have to really worry too much about problems and issues. Okay, under domains, they have their own section here where you can also search for domains. They even give you a drop down where you can choose your extension you want. You can see here their .coms are $13, which is actually still pretty expensive. I mean, most .coms are around $9 or $10 a year. But you can see all the other ones they have too. Okay, website builder, online store, they have professional services, email, and affiliates. All right, so let's move on to HostGator. I used to use HostGator a lot. In fact, they were the one company that I used probably more than anyone for the majority of myself and my clients. But over the past couple years, I've ran into so many issues with them, mostly when I was trying to upgrade my PHP version. So what happens is the servers that run your website, they have software installed on them. And one of them is just called PHP. So this code needs to be updated frequently. And so when my websites needed updated, I would update them. But when I did through HostGator, they would stop working. And I would have to contact HostGator and say, hey, what's going on with my websites? And they would say, oh, well, it has to do with this code and this file. And they would go in and fix it for me every time. Well, when you got 30, 40, 50 domains and websites you're managing, that can be a major pain. And so over time, after dealing with this issue and some others, sometimes slow websites, I just decided to move on away from HostGator also. So, but you can check them out here, HostGator.com. You can see here that free SSL certificate, easy WordPress installs, and a free domain, and then free domain for your first year. Shared hosting starts at $275 a month. They have a website builder. They also offer WordPress hosting, VPS, and dedicated. You can see the difference in the prices. All right, let's go up here and see what they have for hosting. They have shared hosting and WordPress hosting. Let's just click on shared hosting. Okay, unlimited storage, unmetered bandwidth, unbeatable hosting. Now, okay, something I want to mention, a lot of these websites, you're going to see where it says unlimited storage. This isn't always necessarily true, because what people have started doing a long time ago when they said unlimited storage is they would start using their hosting accounts as a storage space for everything. So whereas today you have like Dropbox, Google Drive, and places like that, they were using their hosting account or their server for this, which is not what they're for. Hosting accounts are for uploading things for your website, images that you're going to put on your website, maybe videos you're going to put on your website if you don't put them on YouTube, and files, PDFs. But what they started doing was uploading everything to their storage on their hosting accounts. And so obviously this is not what you're supposed to do. And so while they say unlimited storage, it's not necessarily unlimited storage, but it is unlimited storage if you're only using the things you're uploading to help build your website. Okay, you can see here it says now 60% off. They always run these promos. It doesn't matter when you come here, there's going to be some kind of discount going on, usually 60%, 65%, 70%. If you go to a web hosting site around Black Friday, normally you can get them 75 or even 80% off. your first payment, your first year, or your first 3 years. And so this here, with this plan, it's a single website, 60% off, free SL certificate, free domain. So pretty good deal with at $275 a month. But what you have to remember is if we click on buy now and scroll down, it's going to say choose a hosting package. And so here we already have the hatchling selected. That was the one that we was going with. The $275 a month at 60% off is for 36 months. So you have to buy 36 months up front, which is going to cost you $98. And these add-ons here, we're going to remove those. We don't want those. So we'll go through here and break this down and kind of show you what you need and what you don't need. So what you'd do is you'd put your domain in here, choose your extension, your package here, and then how you want to pay. So if you want to pay for 3 years, you get the discount. If you want to pay for 2 years, you get almost the same discount. If you want to pay for 1 year, it's a little more expensive. But if you just want to do 1, 3, or 6 months, they're going to charge you full price at $11 a month for it. So you can get a huge discount if you do something like 36 months. But you just got to remember at the end of those 3 years, it's going to renew, but it's going to renew at the regular price. So your bill is going to be about 3 times what it was the first time. So you're going to come in and fill out this information. And then down here, they give you all these add-ons, which you don't need. And then if the coupon's already been applied. And so for your first year, or first 3 years actually of web hosting, you're getting, let's see, the 3 years of hosting for $98, which is pretty cheap. Subtotal of $250, which with the normal price, the discount of $150, the taxes, so it's going to cost about $105 for your first 3 years. If you go with GoDaddy, which, like I said, up to you. All right, next one I want to talk about is Hostinger. So this is actually a company that I've been using and moving most of my websites to because it works really well. They have their own, when you sign in, they have their own dashboard, which is different than most other companies. They have more control over how everything is done. And so if you scroll down here, just like most of them, let's see, order web hosting for at least 12 months, you get a free .com for the first year, free SSL included. And offer ends in 18 hours. Not really, it'll restart and it'll go, and tomorrow will be a different one, and so it just keeps going on with all these. But down here you can see you can get a shared hosting account for one website for $1.39 a month. That's really affordable. And then it renews at $2.99 a month, which still isn't that bad at all. And then you can see all the options you get down here. You get your free SSL certificate, WordPress, where you can get it installed. And then over here, if you want to upgrade for just a little bit more, you can build up to 100 websites on your server, which is really good. Plus you get a free domain name, which is going to save you about $10 your first year. They'll give you, I think, $150 in Google Ads credit you can use if you want to start using Google Ads. And then, just like most of them, unlimited bandwidth. Let's see what this says here. It says, although all uses of hosting services provided by Hosting are subject to our terms of service, we hope you will use bandwidth only for the regular operation of a personal or small to medium-sized business. So even though it says unlimited, once again, it has to be within their terms and services so you're not abusing it. All right, and so let's go over to this one here. For $3.99 a month, which renews at $8.99 a month, you're going to get a ton of stuff. And so far this option here blows away all the other ones that we've looked at with what you get in terms of value. And then if we go up to hosting, they have different options here. Now what I have, because I have a lot of websites and I sell a lot of products online, and so I have a lot of traffic going to a lot of websites, I have this option here for cloud hosting. In my opinion, this is the best. It's the fastest by far for what I use. And so when you look at this, it is a little more expensive, but at the same time, you get so much more with it. And so I'm not going to go over all these, but you can look through here and you can see everything you get with them. All of them has 300 websites, but the differences is the amount of storage room they give you, the amount of RAM you have, which the amount of RAM you have can make a big difference of the overall efficiency of your server, how well your websites work, which is also the CPUs affect that too. And you can see with each one, this one has 2, this one has 4, and this one has 6. So obviously the one that has 6 CPU cores, it's going to run much faster and be much more efficient than the others. But just starting off, if you're planning on building a website that you want to make sure it's online and make sure it's fast and make sure it's secure, go with this plan. Go with the Cloud Startup. That's going to be your best option, and you're going to get the best results from that, and you will be more than happy with it. And then they also have services here for email, where you can set it up through Google, or they have a Titan email hosting. I've never used that, so I really can't say. But over here, I forgot under hosting, they have some other options too. They have WordPress, cPanel hosting, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. Virtual private servers, Minecraft hosting. I've never used that. I find that interesting. And then CyberPanel VPS hosting, which I'm not sure what that is either. And then they have where you can also search for domains here, look up information on domains, and also transfer your domains. All right, so that's Hostinger, and we'll come back to this here in a minute. Now let's look at SiteGround. So this is another one that I've been using for a while. Their service is really good, but they're just too expensive for me. So you can see here they have a special going on also. Let's see. Reliable web hosting, managed WordPress hosting, WooCommerce hosting if you want to start up your own e-commerce store on WordPress. They have website builders, transfers, managed WordPress collaboration tools, and our platform is powered by Google Cloud, which is very, very reliable. All right, let's scroll to the top here. You can see they also have an affiliate program, which is probably why you hear or see about SiteGround a lot. In fact, if you go to Google or YouTube, and if you do a search for like top web host, best web host, most of the time the top 3, the top 5 that are recommended by every page or site you see, they're going to be similar, if not the same ones, maybe in a different order. And they promote those products mostly because they pay a good commission to them if they're an affiliate. So that is something you want to remember, is that lots of times when people promote products, they're not basing it on their own experience, but instead they're basing it on how much the company is going to pay them if they get a sale. So if we go up to hosting, they have web hosting, WordPress hosting, WooCommerce, and cloud hosting. If we go to regular hosting, you're going to see here a special price of $4.99 a month, discounted from $14.99 a month. So that basically means when whatever promo it is they're running, whether it's for 1 month, 6 months, or however long, that after it renews, it's going to be $15 a month. So that's expensive. You're only getting one website, and this isn't cloud hosting. This is just regular hosting. And you can see what all you get here. Then you got Grow Big, $7.99, regular $25, unlimited. Go Geek, $15 or $40 a month when it renews, and it gives you more space, more traffic, and so on. And you can read more about SiteGround here too. A2 Hosting, another company that I have an account with. They're pretty reasonable, seems to be always online. So we go to shared hosting, you can see their special starts at $2.99 a month. If you do it for 3 years, for 1 year, $6.99, or monthly, $10.99. You can see here everything you get with it. Reseller hosting, VPS hosting, dedicated servers, and they are quite expensive on their dedicated servers, especially the discounted price for 2 years monthly. It's $199 a month. It's still 15% off even with monthly. All right, so they got shared hosting, and that's what we were on right here. They have WordPress hosting. It's going usually a little bit more expensive. VPS hosting, managed and unmanaged. We're not going to get into that right now. Reseller hosting. So here you can resell web hosting just like you can. And most hosting companies, they offer this. They offer where you have the chance to buy in and be able to use their services and then resell it to your customers. And they will give you like your own dashboards where you can manage your own clients, their domains, all the resources they're able to use. Now we have InMotion hosting. This is one I don't hear about near as much as what I did years ago, but I do have some clients that's also using this one. You can see shared hosting, $5.99 a month. WordPress VPS dedicated hosting. If you don't see a trend here, this is what most hosting companies offer: shared, WordPress, VPS, and dedicated. And so you can see the options, the server solutions if you want your own server, WordPress, private cloud. I'm not sure what this is, probably really expensive. Tools and services. Once again, we see cPanel here, which we're going to be talking about in just a minute. All right, so here we are inside of one of my hosting accounts, and this is from a different company actually that I didn't show you. If you go to 5cloudhosting.com, if you go to cloudhosting5.com, you can learn more about this company. It's a one-time price for 5 years. It's like $97 for 5 years or $160 for 5 years. Can't remember what I paid for it. And it allows me unlimited installs of domains, websites. So I use this hosting account when I do a lot of websites that are more of just side websites, not main websites. So if something happens to them, it's not a huge deal, but they usually get back up and running really quick. But inside of this, you can see this is cPanel. So this is what you get with most web hosting companies. Will give you something that looks like this of their own design. So with cPanel, you have options to control a lot of things within your hosting account. For example, under this one, we have email. For email accounts, forwarders, rerouting, autoresponders. There's just so many options here that you can do and come in here. And most of these you will never use. You may come in here and set up some email accounts. You may forward some emails to a different location. You may set up an autoresponder or set up a default address, but other than that, you're probably not going to use most of these other ones. Down here under Jetpack, I don't use these. Under billing and support, we're not going to mess with that one. Now, file manager is something you would use a lot. So this is how you get to the files that is on your website, or all the files of your website that is stored. So maybe there's a certain file you have to delete, or maybe there's a certain file you want to upload, and you can use File Manager for this. You can log into it, you can go in and view and see every file on your website, find the specific one you want, and you can delete it, you can replace it, or upload new ones. Now under databases, this here you're probably not going to use, or if you do, it's going to be down the road. What I would recommend before you ever get in here and you go to PHPMyAdmin is that you go to YouTube and you do some research on it. Because what this does is this logs you into your database for your website. So your database is what stores all the information from everything that's input on your website. So it stores usernames, passwords, all the content. And so this here, if you delete something or mess it up here, it can completely break your website. So don't go in there and do anything unless you know what you're doing. Domains, you have Site Publisher, you have domains here. This is where you add all of your domains you want to create your websites for. Add-on domains or actually I got these mixed up. Domains here in this account is where you can buy domains. And any domains you buy directly through this hosting company is going to show up here. Then you have add-on domains. So if you have domains you purchased from another company, for example, let's say you buy your domains from Namecheap, or maybe you buy them from NameSilo, but you want to use this hosting account. What you can do is you can direct those domains to work with this hosting account right here. Now you also have subdomains, and this is something I didn't talk about, but with subdomains you can normally create an unlimited amount of them with your hosting account. And so what a subdomain is an entirely different website you can build that's attached to your main domain. So let's say you buy webdesigner.com. Well, you can add a subdomain to it. Maybe it is, let's just take for example, portfolios. So you could do a subdomain called portfolio, and you could set up another WordPress website on it. And then how people would get to that subdomain is going by portfolio.webdesign.com. And you can create as many of these subdomains as you want on different things. And a lot of websites use them. The reason I don't use subdomains is because they don't rank well in search engines at all. And so I try to keep everything on my main domain without using any subdomains. You can do redirects. So if you have a domain name you're not using to build a website on, but you want it to redirect to another URL, you can do that here. You can view a lot of your statistics from your visitors, the bandwidth that you're using. Here under metrics, under security, you have different options here. Normally you're not going to have to mess with any of this. And then down here under software, now this is where you can see there's a lot of different things you can do. And if we scroll on down under applications, you're going to see they have a dedicated section with this web host where we can install WordPress, which is very easy to do. On down here you can see the Softaculous apps installer, and these are all the different scripts or software tools that you can use to create your site with. So maybe you don't want to build a WordPress site. Okay, how about a Joomla site? What's Joomla? It's a totally different platform that you can use to build websites with, and maybe it has different features than WordPress. They have one for real estate. They have like different types of forums that you can install. They have things like Laravel, things like OpenCart, and OpenCart's like one of those that you can create and sell products on. So they have all different kinds of scripts you can use, and if you want to see all of them, what you would do is you would find the Softaculous apps installer and click on it. And over here on the left hand side, it's going to show you all the different categories of different scripts you can install. So they have a lot more here than just WordPress. Now you can see WordPress is by far the most popular, and to install it we just click here and choose the domain and go through the process of it. But we're not going to do that right now. And here's Joomla, and then we can scroll down and see a few others. But if we wanted to, say like we wanted to create a video site, we click on video, and you can see here is a script we can use to install on our website that allows us to create a video site. Let's see what their demo looks like. Okay, so this is the demo website. Let's click on videos, and they don't have any. So this is kind of an empty website. But what you would do is install this script on your site. You can see it has a login, a place for advertisements, and down here I guess is where all your videos would show up when you upload them. So if you click on upload, you would log in, and then you would go ahead and add your video. It would upload it and add it to the website. Okay, let's look at a couple more. There's one for gaming. Okay, I've never heard of this one before. I've never been into this, so let's see what gaming is. Okay, so can see what this looks like, and you can see here members, downloads, links, place to log in, surveys. Okay, kind of looks older though. It looks like something that maybe existed 10 years ago. You can create wiki sites, image galleries, forums, different types of blogs, calendar sites. You can create mail sites, project management, e-commerce. So under e-commerce, there's a lot of different ones you can use. Zencart. Let's go ahead and open that one. Okay, so this is what I assume the default would look like with Zencart. And let's just choose all products, see what it looks like. And they don't have any set up on here. So I really wish on these demo themes they would fill it full with something so you can see what it actually looks like if you add things to it. Okay, Magento, that used to be a really popular one. Not sure if it still is or not. Invoice Ninja. It's a complete suite of apps. One open source platform to create and email invoices and proposals, track payments, history and expenses, and time billable tasks and projects for clients. Now, all of these are free. So I could click install right now and install this script on my domain and use it. Whether, just depending on what you want to do, but you can see all the different options over here. Let me minimize this. You got guest books. That's pretty old though. Educational. Most of these I have never used, and most of these I don't know anything about. File management. You got your own scripts you can use for file management on your website. Okay, let's go ahead and go back to our control panel. And we'll scroll back up through here. And I'm going to have my information hid on the right hand side because it gives out information about my server and websites and things like that. Alright, so this is inside of my Hostinger account, and this is actually their cPanel, or I'm not even sure if you'd call it cPanel or not, because what they've done and what I really like about Hostinger is that they've kind of created their own platform, which in my opinion is much easier to use, much easier to find things, to update and change things than it is using the regular cPanel that comes with most of your web hosting companies. And so if we scroll down through here, we're going to see where we have our main options here. We can see our usage. If we want to renew our services, set the main domain. So if we have multiple domain names set up on this account, I can choose which one I want to be set up as my main domain. I can change my password. Here I can set up email accounts. And then here's where I can set up my subdomains. You can park domains. Now, what parking domains means, and it can be different with different web hosts, but if you're not using your domain name, say you buy webdesigner.com, but you're not going to be using it, you can park it. And parking it means that it stays there and there's like a landing page that shows up on that website if somebody goes to it, basically telling them that the domain, maybe a website's coming soon, or in some cases there may be ads on it, so where it can be used just to, if nothing else, if someone visits the site and clicks on the ad, you might make a little bit of money from it. It's just a way of using your domain name for something else if you're not doing anything at all with it. And so you have options here for adding websites, setting up redirects from your domains to go to other places, and Cloudflare. I'm not going to get too much into Cloudflare right now, but what this is a third-party service that you can reroute all of your traffic and bandwidth through. And what it does is it secures it much better than just using a hosting company. And not just secures it, but it makes it more difficult for hackers to try to get into your accounts and to access your information and to shut down your websites. Now under the website section, we have the auto installer. So this is very similar to what we've seen in the other web host that had the Soft Aculus apps. So this is where you would access it to install all your apps and your scripts on your domain. You can import websites, migrate them, view error pages that it's found. These are just links right here. The file manager, this is a beta one I'm not too crazy about. I still just use this to go in to view all of my files. You can back up everything. FTP accounts, I didn't talk about this. So what FTP accounts are is it's a way for you to give other people access to your website without giving them full access to everything. And so what you can do is you can go in and set up an FTP account for maybe a virtual assistant or somebody else who's going to be working on your website, and only give them access to certain parts of your hosting account or certain parts, so where they can only see certain files of certain domain names, because maybe they're only working on one website and you have 5 or 10 websites in your hosting account and you don't want them to see all of them. Well, they don't have to if you set them up their own account and just limit their restrictions. This is your database section, which we've seen in the other cPanel, and it has also phpMyAdmin, where you can go in and change stuff within the database. This here, you probably won't be doing much at all with like zone editors or cron jobs. This here is more if you're a little more advanced, or if there's something in particular you have to change with your domain name or with your hosting. Maybe they're on different companies, or your email. This is how you would do that, and I would recommend you go to YouTube and look up tutorials on that before you ever touch it, because once again that can mess things up. And once you make changes, it can take 24 to 48 hours for it to propagate, which means it can take 24 to 48 hours for it to actually reflect and show the changes you made throughout the internet. And so if you've done something wrong and you went back in there and changed it again, it'd be another 24 to 48 hours to change it back. Cache manager, SSL certificates here, and password protect directories. You can deactivate your account, but that's about it. But that's pretty much it. I tried to keep this video right about an hour. Didn't want to go too far over, but I also wanted to take you guys inside, and I wanted to really show you what web hosting is all about. I wanted to show you some of the web hosting companies that I've been using for years and what they look like inside. And so if you're thinking about building a website, what I would recommend is that you build a WordPress website. WordPress is by far the most popular tool that's being used to create websites with right now, and it's very well managed. There are thousands of plugins, or I guess you could call them add-ons, that you can use with WordPress. And so when you build your site, you can add these plugins or add-ons to your site to give it a lot more features depending on what you're wanting to do. There's thousands of themes that's already been created. A lot of them are free, you can use. A lot of them you can just search for. You can go to Google and type for WordPress themes, WordPress templates, or even WordPress plugins, and you're going to see just the amount that just goes on and on and on forever, because WordPress is just so big and so popular, and it's what most people use anymore for their websites. In fact, that's the only thing that I've been using for years to build all of my websites for myself and for my clients. And they have different builders you can add to them too. For example, they have WordPress plugins like Elementor, which you can look that up. They have a free version of it and a pro version, but what it does is it allows you to drop and drag and to create websites that way, which makes it much easier to how you want to design your site. Whereas before, you had to use almost like a word processor type tool, which made it very difficult to align your site the way you wanted, to put things exactly where you wanted it to be. And so So that's what I would recommend. Whatever web hosting company you get, go down there, find the WordPress link once you log into it, install WordPress on it. Installing WordPress is actually pretty simple. You just follow through the guidelines that it shows you on the page. It's just step by step. And then normally within 5 to 10 minutes, depending on your web host, it can take up to an hour. Your website will be online and you can go in and you can start editing it, creating your site, customizing it, and doing all kinds of things. So just remember that YouTube is full of thousands of tutorials on building a website, on using WordPress, on using Elementor or other web designers, adding plugins and all kinds of stuff. So just be sure you go there and check out those if you run into problems or if you want to expand your knowledge and how to use WordPress to build your websites or anything like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. I have a lot more videos coming out that's going to be based around particular web hosting companies that I want to review and do more in-depth reviews for. So if you want to check those out, make sure you subscribe and I'll notify you as soon as they're available.